Hello, nerds! Thank you for joining me here on Nerd News Clips. This is the second channel. This is the place for all of the short-form content as well as the individual sections and just generally speaking smaller things. If you are into the longer form content, youtube.com/generallynerdy is the place to go see that. With that out of the way, let's get into this. So, jumping into the movies section, we have one piece of that just happened. I kind of like that phrase as a title when it becomes its own series, but as it stands right now, it seems a little awkward. So maybe it'll get a little work on it. Maybe we'll just skip it. I don't know. Either way, Hocus Pocus happened this past week. It launched over on Disney Plus, and we did watch it here at Generally Nerdy. So we're talking about it because it was better than anticipated. Not gonna lie, it does not suffer as much from the modern remake Lego sequel situation, in that it doesn't play beat for beat everything that happened in the first movie, just with potentially different actors or minor differences between the two. There are definitely similar beats. There are definitely callback jokes that happen in this. Some of them fall very flat. Some of them don't work nearly as much as they should, and some of them definitely had water coming out of my nose. So it's kind of a mixed bag. In general, this was a lot of fun to watch. I can say without a doubt that the original is probably easily 10 times better than this one. That's not to say that this one is bad by any stretch. It's just, it seems that they missed the point of the humor in the original, which seems to be a trend with movie Lego sequels of late. See The Munsters for an example of that. Good Lord. But yeah. So Hocus Pocus 2 is worth a watch just to see a better version of the Lego sequel, a better way to do a thing that still hits on the beats, that still reminds us of why we like the original, but does its own thing in a lot of ways. A lot of the issue with Lego sequels in this vein is that all of the beats happen at roughly the same time in the same order as the original, right? That was the issue with Star Wars. That's been the issue with a number of other projects. Creed, I think, was something in along those same vein. But this one, again, it does hit some of those same beats, but none of them happen at the exact same time in the overarching story. They kind of really front load. All right, these are all of the callback jokes, and these are all of the beats we hit in the first movie, so that we can get that out of the way and then get to where we want to go. It is fairly transparent. We do see a lot of the ending, you'll see it coming before it actually happens. But this is a movie made for kids that adults can also appreciate, and I think in that regard they definitely executed exactly what they were trying to do. So mild recommend if you want to go check out a new Halloween movie. This is definitely something that's going to be added into my yearly rotation. We'll probably watch it once a year, whereas we watch the original Hocus Pocus like 3 to 5 times every year. So yeah, that's kind of where that stands. That's what we've got for That Just Happened. So let's get into the actual follow-ups and news and things. So, follow-ups, Nosferatu, this movie that they're remaking that we've been keeping tabs on since it was announced. Not much has happened since the announcement, but now we have casting announcements. Our first one is Bill Skarsgård, who is going to be playing Count Orlok, who is the Dracula, effectively, for this story. Not effectively, he is Dracula. That's where Dracula comes from, is the, yeah, in a lot of respects. I mean, obviously I know the actual history of Count Dracula, but yeah, the characterization of Orlok is it's kind of the two, whatever. So we have, Bill Skarsgård as Orlok, and then Lily Rose Depp is going to be playing the love interest. I can't remember her name. It wasn't in any of the press releases. It was just that she's going to be the female lead and he's going to be the male lead. So pretty obvious there. That is all we have on that. Next, we're talking about Blade, the new Mahershala Ali movie that is coming into the MCU. Was supposed to be happening this year, has now been pushed back to sometime next year. We called this in the last episode, though. We were talking about how Star Trek was pulled off of Paramount's release calendar because they lost their director. Well, Bassam Tariq has left this project. He was the director for Blade, and now they have to push it back because they don't have a director. So things change when your director changes. That being said, that's all we've got on that one. Next, let's talk... Oh, that's all the follow-ups we have, too. Whoops. Next, let's talk about trailers. We got a new Black Panther trailer to talk about. Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, November 11th. This one's been a little controversial because there's rumors surrounding this, but in the very least, it shows us that there is not who we thought, at the very least, inside of that suit. It is going to be a female, at least at some point in the course of this movie. There will be a female inside of the Black Panther suit, and so people are speculating, and we have a rumor piece about this that we're going to go in much more detail, but the trailer looks pretty great. Go check it out. People are also saying it looks like there's 2 Black Panthers in this trailer. I don't see it, but maybe you do, so let's talk about that in the comments down low. And yeah, now let's get into actual freaking news. First up is Armor Wars. The once Disney Plus series is now going to be a movie. I did not see the date on this, and I should have, because I know it's been released, so I'll put it up on screen for those of you watching. I'll try and maybe insert an audio bit for everyone else. If not, we'll follow up on it next week. But it has been moved to a movie and not a series, which is interestingly kind of a downgrade in this weird day and age that we have content to devour through, because a series means you get at least 6 hours to tell your story. A movie means you get at most 3 hours to tell your story, because nobody's going to put anything longer than 3 hours in a movie theater. And being as this is a supplemental story, I understand, leading into something bigger, it's probably not even going to be that long. So you're looking at more like 2 to 2.5 hours to tell this story. So yeah, it's a significant downgrade, though theoretically means a larger budget. So it's a weird trade-off as far as the storytelling is concerned. This is definitely a downgrade. So very interesting there. Let's move next to American Pie. There has been an announcement that there is a new American Pie movie in the works. It is going to be directed by Sujata Day. I don't know who that is, but she's the one who broke it on Twitter. She's going to be directing this movie. No word on casting or anything else like that, so we will be keeping tabs there. We also have, this is kind of a refutation to a rumor that nobody really thought was a rumor. Bruce Willis, if you remember, I don't think we talked about it on the show because I wanted to let a little bit more develop before we actually talked about it, is Bruce Willis is not, in fact, licensing his likeness to an AI company in order to keep his acting career going, in a similar vein as to what we did cover previously with James Earl Jones licensing his voice to an AI company. Bruce Willis is just straight retiring, according to his people. He is not trying to sell his likeness so that he can continue getting the acting money, even though he's not doing the acting, which is very interesting. But yeah, it comes directly from him, so it's gotta be true, I guess. If more breaks on this, we will be keeping tabs, but otherwise, let's get into our final section for every section, and that is movie suggestions. This week's suggestion, keeping in line with the Halloween theme, as well as the fact that the new Hellraiser movie comes out next week, or the week after. I'm pretty sure it's next week. We're going to say Hellraiser. Go check out the original Hellraiser. This is honestly the only one that I can really recommend in the entire series as being good for reasons that aren't silly. Because almost every other Hellraiser movie in the series, and I believe there's 10 of them at this point, is good for bad reasons. This one, I would say, is probably what, I mean, there might be one other one. I might be misremembering certain things, but definitely the first Hellraiser movie came out in like 1987, I believe, is worth a watch, keeping in mind that it did come out in 1987. And so certain things probably aren't as scary as they once were, but it is still rather well executed. So go check out Hellraiser, the OG, this week for your recommendation. Once again, this has been just a brief segment from the larger episode that has been posted over on the main channel, youtube.com/generallynerdy. Go over there for the long form content, or just subscribe here if you want it in bite-sized chunks. Thank you very much for joining me, nerds. We'll see you in the next one. Before we go though, always remember that if it's generally nerdy, it's probably here.